There are many changes going on in Toronto. To find out about demographic shifts and how they impact daily life, research through finding new information by proposing a question and conducting surveys or sampling is a valid way to begin to gather information on social conditions. This is Regent Park then. Small enclosed low-rises, a few high-rise apartments. This is Regent Park now. Visually we see the differences. What is this video about? It's about how one could design a research project to explore the Regent Park development. In suggesting this, it helps us think about researching in general.
Okay, so now we want to find out what's happening at Regent Park. Maybe we're going to have to plan this better. I thought we could just stop people and just say, hey, can I ask you a question?
Yes. I think if we know exactly what it is that we want to find out, then we can figure out how to get the answers we're looking for.
A research question. Sampling, methods.
Our two students will spend the next weeks poring through all the materials that they have been gathering to read. Their dining room, where they study, if you look closely, are overflowing with the materials they have been gathering. Everything is piled up on a long table in front of where I am standing. You will see our two worker bees behind and underneath the weight of piles of newspaper articles, books, photographs, pictures, and pamphlets they have been examining.
This is background information.
Archival documents.
There's so many approaches to gathering data. It's dizzying.
Participant observation, accident research, interviews, surveys, qualitative and quantitative approaches. Geez, which is the most effective?
I know, and we could use any of them, so long as we got a solid
Research question.
So, after reading about the plight of the poor residents of many mixed neighborhoods in the Netherlands and the US, and the shift in the way that Regent Park decision process has been leading to a favoring at City Hall of more developers and market value rather than subsidized housing units in the long term. It's just a common theme.
I think the word for it is gentrification. Yes. How about this for the question? How is a return of the white middle class into the formerly abandoned areas of the inner city where you used to or are now returning to live impacting your life in Regent Park?
Our students are figuring out as they go, first through visiting the area they want to study, and then through doing a lot of background secondary source reading on the issue, directly about Toronto and dealing with other cities as well. This is a great way to come up with a strong and clearly defined research question and find some way to link what they want to find out with activities which involve the community they are interested to study and work with.
Design a study that would give us better insight into what's actually happening to people, why it's happening, and figure out an aspect and say, the changing outcomes of the youth feeling in education achievement, revitalization, renewal, gentrification, urban redevelopment.
It's a thesis, a set of ideas. Let's put the numbers to concept and find out.
Okay, so sampling can be a way for us to find out how people are feeling about life in Regent Park today. And if we do what's called cluster sampling, we could draw some inferences based on probabilities in similar areas. Sadly, we can't sample the way people were feeling before the transformations, but we can correlate the sample by demographic look at other similar areas.
Like Lawrence Park, Parkdale, or areas of Brampton. Or
if we have one main question, then we can begin to ask a lot of sub-questions where we go through brainstorming all the possible things that someone might ask people who are either being displaced, feeling abandoned, continuing to struggle with crime and poverty. Youth. Should we also use snowball sampling? You know, where we ask people to ask other people who would be then interested, hopefully, in answering some of our questions. We can send out to schools, apartment buildings, community centers.
yes, a survey questionnaire with a letter of consent so no one feels exploited. We gather the information from the returned questionnaires, make sure that we know the age, ethnicity, gender, race of the people who we're asking, and get them to rate our questions using a scale from 1 to 5. Absolutely to not ever, about whatever it is that we're going to ask them.
After we ask all our questions in an online questionnaire, we can get this friend of mine who's a mathematical statistical wizard and input all the data on a computer software program and come up with percentages and statistical data so that we can experience all the different people who responded to our questionnaire.
You're so brilliant.
The beauty of a research question is it can help in discovering new things about our communities. Like these two avid researchers are finding, there are many useful approaches, from sampling to interviews, from fieldwork to looking at other people's own earlier or ongoing original research, as well as theories of what is happening, as in this case, in the transformation of urban housing to make sense of the changes in Regent Park and how it is impacting minority youth versus other areas without gentrification. The methods help us determine what we will find, and active students doing social research like our hero and heroine also have the aim to change, in whatever way they can, the conditions which led them to want to do the research project in the first place.